presentation for the supermarket sales for the project of Tableau. Today, I'm going to present a lot of data points that were given um, to us by Triple Ten that they want us to explain and to show in this presentation. So first of all, let's talk about how the correlation between sales and total returns in the company. So a positive sale to total return chart would look um, like this, in that it is a straight line from 0 to 550 going upwards the whole time. So let's say, for example, if the line was from envelopes to phones, it would be a healthy line because it means that the subcategories with the most purchases are also the subcategories with the most returns, and that would make sense. But in this case, we have binders and paper over here, which have a lot of returns, but in the example of paper, doesn't have a lot of demand, doesn't have a lot of sales. So you can say that this is an unhealthy line, and they don't correlate positively because of the binders and paper subcategories. And here you can see the return number, but in the bottom we will present the return rate, which machines happen to have the most amount of return rate, even though, as you can see in the top, they don't have the same amount of, they don't have a large amount of sales. They are in the top six, but it is strange that their return rate is very high in comparison to chairs or in comparison to phones, which are over here, which have a smaller return rate. Now we'll go to the next slide. Here, the presentation of correlation between sales and total returns is still present, just in case you need to see them. Here, we're talking about each customer and who has the highest return rate. So there is a man called Roland Murray who has the highest return rate with 100%. This means that he returns 100% of the things that he provides. And if we keep going all the way down, you see all the customers that don't have any return rates, and the customer with the lowest return rate is Jana Sorensen with 4%. If we go next, here we want to see the return rate by city. So we were told to look at at what cluster of cities have the highest return rate. And there is a high return rate cluster in the tri-state area over here. But if you look carefully, um, one second. It's not as conglomerated as the return rate in the south of Los Angeles, specifically the southwest, in all the area of San Diego and Los Angeles, and even in the areas of San Francisco here in the top. Now, when we check out return rate by state, the state with the highest return rate is Utah with 57%. And then it was followed by California, Oregon, and all these 45 to high 30s states like Colorado and Tennessee. Finally, we have the return rate and count of return by state, which means what state has the highest return rate and a number of returns. So as we can see, the one and two are California and New York. More specifically, New York in September, which has it has 423 number of returns, and New York in September has a return rate of 0.33. California, on the other hand, has a return rate of 0.32 and a high number of returns in 561. And the same by city. You can see that New York City absolutely goes over and over the rest of the cities in the number of returns. This is for the month of September, and it goes really, really high in 200, the number is 395. This is only in New York City, and overall the return rate for all the cities is 0.33. So having a high number of returns is really strange for New York City specifically. Thank you very much. Conclusion of the whole thing: there is unhealthy returns. Um, there are unhealthy returns in the company, mostly in the last two sections, where the products with the highest purchase not necessarily correlate to the products with the highest return. Um, there are customers with 100% return rate, so we have to determine how to maintain these. Even over 95%, there's many customers over that, and we have to know how to maintain these customers and what we're doing wrong with the products. Summers have the highest return. This can be because of several different factors that we would have to analyze. Um, and the states with the highest return rate are California and New York. Also, during these mid-year to end of year uh, times, especially in south of California and a lot in the tri-state area. And the city with the highest return by a mile is New York City, specifically during the month mentioned before.